ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10. The chapter is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text number 19. Okay, text number 19, that is page number 441. 441. So we'll recite the verse. Please recite after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Hanta te kathayishyami divyāyātma-vibhūtayah Nasyanto Visarasya. Either ways. What do we do? We read once only. Okay. So before we go to the translation, let us try and understand what the Sanskrit is. So in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll have word for word meaning too. But let's see. Hanta. The word Hanta is used to address a very dear one. Tomorrow, if some of you would be coming to our program, then we are going to celebrate Govardhan Puja. And the gopis, they addressed Shri Giriraj as Hanta. Dear Giriraj, Hantaya Madrira Bala. So that is the prayer by the gopis in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Hanta is an affectionate way of saying dear. Okay? Hanta te kathishyami. Te, that. So something must have transpired between Krishna and Arjun last week. Correct? Last week, right? Last week. So last week there was no. Last week we had a program? No. So 2 weeks ago, there was a conversation between Krishna and Arjun. So in reply to whatever had transpired then, Krishna is saying te. Hanta te kathishyami. I am kathishyami. Katha, speak. Ishyami, I. Te, about that, I will speak unto you. And somehow Krishna is feeling very, very affectionate towards Arjun. The verse says, Dear Arjun, hantate kathayishyami divya atma vibhutayah. So here he again reiterates that which most probably Arjuna had asked for. What does he reiterate? Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya. Certainly, what you asked me. So it seems that Arjun must have asked Krishna about his vibhutis. Because he says Atma Vibhutaya Kathishyami. And then he says Divya. These are divine or special. In some ways, they are divine. What is a divinity? What is their being special will be explained in future verses. Okay. Pradhanyatah Kurushreshta. So Pradhanyatah, the major. Pradhanyatah means the chief. So Vibhutaya means a lot of vibhutis, a lot of opulences. But Krishna says, he says Pradhanyatah. Of those, I will speak about that which stands out, or which is the chief one amongst a group of them. So it could be one of those meanings, pradhanyatah, that which is exceptional, that which stands out. It could also mean that pradhanyatah, that is who I am amongst those opulences. Those opulences, they are representing me. So that could also be the meaning. Kuru Sreshta. So first he addresses Arjuna as dear, and then Kuru Sreshta, or best of your dynasty. So Krishna is happy to explain about his opulences to the best amongst men, the best of society. It could imply that one has to be qualified enough to understand what is being shared. One needs to know the language, one needs to know the meaning of what it is being shared. So one needs to be conversant with the subject matter that is going to be shared. So Kurushreshta would imply that Arjuna is qualified and conversant, which brings us or puts us in a very, very interesting position. Are we qualified enough? Will we understand that language? And maybe I should just, whatever I speak now, I should put a disclaimer to it that please don't judge me by what I'm going to speak. But most probably we will never understand. Although we may learn the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, but what come from now onwards in the Gita, the description, most probably we'll never understand. One of the challenges that we have is that we cannot retain a lot of data in the present age and times. So unless and until we memorize those verses again and again and again every day, it is just some information that will be, for us, it will just be some information that is being shared. So we may feel very nice every time for the next, I think it would be 15 to 20 verses. We'd feel very, very excited every time for the next 15 weeks. If we come here, then every Friday, when we hear the description, we'll be excited. But I guarantee you that as soon as Prasad is done with, those opulences will also be done with. And as time passes, even if there is some remnants of or some remembrances of those opulences, most probably we are going to forget about it. It would have been very helpful if Krishna would have come up with examples like amongst shopping malls, I'm Target or Costco. That we would have remembered, right? Amongst gas stations, I don't know what is Marathon gas station. It would be very relevant. So when Krishna is going to speak to Arjuna here, we understand that he is doing it on a one-on-one basis, and whatever he explains, Krishna, is it has a universal meaning too. Unfortunately, our universe may be very, very small. Therefore, the universal meaning may be lost as time passes on. Is it okay? That depends on each one of us. Is that okay? Can we live with that? We have to make a decision on that. All right. So, disclaimer, please don't judge me on what I've just stated. Okay. So, Kuru Sreshta, I'm going to explain a few of them, or the choicest ones of them, or that which really stands out, etc., etc., etc. Why? Because it says, Nastyantaha, Nastyantaha. There is no end. There is no end to what? The opulences of Krishna are in such huge numbers that within the finite time that we have, it appears to be endless. Does that make sense? So finite time is not just in terms of our present existence as humans, as man, women, child, old, young, this country, that country, etc., citizen. No, no, no. It is in terms of whatever time is spent in this creation, birth after birth, still that time is finite. And because of the finiteness of that time that we spend in this universe, Krishna's opulences, the list of it will always seem to be endless. Nastyantaro vistarasya me. Vistarasya me. How I've expanded in so many opulent forms in this entire creation. Vistarasya me. For people like you and me, and collectively as a community or collectively as generations of human beings, maybe we pass on data for 10, 12 centuries and we collate all of that data. Still, it is very, very finite, very, very limited in terms of how powerfully or how amazingly Krishna has expanded in so many forms, which are extremely opulent, which are his vibhuti. Is that all right? Did we understand this? So, translation. Now, let us read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. So, if something is limitless, there is a tendency for our intelligence to immediately shut down and not inquire about it. Is it true or untrue? If we understand that the number of laws that work in this country are limitless, would it inspire us to understand what those laws are? We'll leave it to the lawyers, right? But if we know that there are only 10 laws, finite number of laws, then maybe we do inquire about it. So when the translation here is limitless, we should still try and be excited about knowing of these opulences. Okay, all right. So now let us try and analyze what is being said here in this verse. Let us go back to the previous verse. Can we go back to the previous verse? It is verse number 18. Everyone is there on that verse? So this is Arjun's. This is Arjun speaking to Krishna. All right. Vistarenatmano atmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana. O Janardan, O Krishna, vistarenatmano, in great detail, Vistar, in great detail, please explain to me yoga and vibhuti. Yogam vibhutim cha janardan. So now we understand why te katheshyami. So because Arjuna had asked about the description of what is Krishna's yoga and Krishna's vibhuti, and he wanted to know it in complete detail. In response to that, Krishna is answering Arjun's, or is responding to Arjun's inquiry. But interestingly, he only refers to vibhuti as of yet. What happened to the yoga? It will come. And when it comes, please remember that on this day, in the month of November, we had pointed out that Krishna will also speak about his yoga, because Arjun had asked about yoga. Yogam vibhutim cha janardana. Is that okay? Yes. So everyone is, should I slow down? Everyone is keeping pace with what we are, where we are. Why does Krishna begin with the word Hanta, dear one? We'll need to analyze that a little bit. Why all of a sudden? So he says, my dear one, O Hanta, my dear one Arjun, my dear Arjun, definitely I will tell you about my opulences, my vibhuti. What is that vibhuti? Divya. Divya means divine. Divya means that which is spiritual. Divya means that which is exceptional. So when you want to share something exceptional with another person, either you are being held at gunpoint, that means you are being forced to share that, or you are sharing it with someone very dear to you. Wouldn't you do that? If there's an exceptional object about which you want to share the knowledge, or you want to give a vision of that, there are only two circumstances. Either you are being forced to, or you feel very affectionate towards a person that you want to share with. Since Krishna is feeling affectionate towards Arjuna, therefore he says, Hantate kathishyami, only for you, Arjun, my dear Arjun, only for you. This is just for you. Hantate kathishyami. So Krishna is making Arjuna feel very, very special. This Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama. Is that all right? Yes. Now am I audible? Yes. A little better? Okay, I'm so sorry. So whatever we discussed up till now, do I need to repeat it? So Krishna is feeling very, very happy about sharing this knowledge of his opulences with Arjun, because he and Arjun have a very special relationship. Hence, in a very, very, in an ahanta is an affectionate term of address. Like sometimes those days are gone, but when Jagadish and Damu were little boys, Damu was much little. Jagdish was about maybe whatever age, under 10. Sometimes I would hear, would I hear you say that? Or would he affectionately call you Nana?
I don't remember.
You've never done that? Is that a term
We use
that is
Andhra,
used?
we use Nana. Yeah. For the kids also.
You use a
Nana.
term, Nana? Why do you use it?
Call like affectionate.
Of call affection. See? So Krishna here is saying, Nana te kathishya. Now it's relevant. It's an affectionate term of address. Nana te kathishyami. Okay? Like if you're going out, you're like, all right, everyone come. Nana, put on your dress, put on your shoes. You wouldn't say, oh, you boy, do that. Affection. But if you're angry, how many of times would you say, Nana, how many times I've told you? Most probably no. So affection, affectionate term of address. Now you're liking the Bhagavad Gita a little more. Yeah. It's sweet also. It's just that we have to be a little more open-minded, I guess, and see what is the relevance. Now, even Prabhupada would say, how does Prabhupada say, what is the word for word meaning that is given for Hanta?
Yes. Anta, yes.
Yes. No, word for word meaning.
Anta, te means unto you. Anta means yes.
Yes. Okay. So imagine Hantayam, the gopis are yes, Giriraj. So Hanta means, okay, Nana, I will tell you, like that. All right. So that is the mood of Krishna here. Why is Krishna addressing Arjuna as an affection with this affectionate term? Nana, why is he doing it? Nana, Hanta. Why is he doing it? The explanation has been given. Arjuna is a living entity, individual spirit soul. The senses of the living entity are limited. When we compare it with the senses of the Supreme Lord, and the senses of the living entity are limited. Because the senses are limited, it stands to reason that most probably or definitely the limitless potency and the limitless opulences of Krishna will not be fathomable for the living entity. Fathomable would not be able to really understand it with great clarity because of limited senses. Some of those opulences we can maybe put a lot of effort and time in understanding it, but a lot of other opulences may be missed out. Still, the nature of the devotee is to understand Krishna. The nature of a devotee is to understand Krishna. Every day, the nature of a devotee. Practicing devotee may not have that nature. Understand this point. A practicing devotee is trying to evolve. But the nature of a devotee is to try and understand Krishna. What kind of understanding? Consistently understand more and more about Krishna, about Krishna's opulences. Why are they so eager to understand Krishna? Why is a devotee so eager to understand Krishna? A practicing devotee may not be as eager as a devotee. A practicing devotee's eagerness would be like our heart beat on a chart, sometimes up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Have you seen the graph? ECG report. It's waves up, down. So for a practicing devotee, this eagerness to understand Krishna consistently on a consistent basis may wax and wane. However, the intent is very clear. The intent is very clear that we want to become ripened in her spiritual practices, devotional practices. So we are just speaking of a devotee right now, okay? So please don't go into some other parallel world of what you think are devotees. The world that we are generally accessing is the society of practicing devotees, generally speaking. Okay, so we are speaking about devotees. A practicing devotee will take hints from what we are going to discuss now. So a devotee is eager to understand Krishna not because a devotee has the need to understand Krishna. It's not that a devotee is lacking in something and only when they know Krishna that will be fulfilled. So a devotee is not wanting to understand Krishna because they want to understand Krishna at any moment of time. It is not because they want to understand Krishna. A devotee wants to understand Krishna more and more and more because that understanding is so relishable. They enjoy the emotions, the taste of those emotions that fills one's consciousness when we try to understand Krishna. Like sometimes, we may have in our community, we may just decide to see what is the understanding at which we are. So there could be a test. And every time there's a test on a certain topic of Krishna consciousness, it's really very stressful. For those who follow ISKCON regularly, they know that there are systems such as Bhakti Shastri, very stressful. But Bhakti Shastri is a way to understand Krishna through 4 books. For the entire period of 6 months, 12 months, 1.5 years, by the time you are 10% through that regimen, you are like somehow or the other I have to finish it. That's a practicing devotee. Will not give up. But the taste, that relish is not there. It is a need that is there. I have to do it because I have to keep my senses connected to Krishna consciousness. My senses applied in Krishna consciousness. But a devotee of Krishna wants to understand Krishna more and more and more because they find those topics relishable. So in one of our books called as Chaitanya Charitamrit, we hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who, according to Gaudiya understanding, is perfectly manifesting the mood of a devotee. So there is one reference which is helpful to understand the point that we are making right now. That he would listen to Gadadhar Pandit speak about the wonderful description, glorious description of Dhruva Maharaj / Prahlad Maharaj. And you'd say, please repeat it again. Personally, I don't think so I have done that even once in my life. And after the entire episode has been done, please repeat it again, or I've gone back to. And in my own personal life, I haven't experienced, I don't have a lot of association as some of you have. But I've not been fortunate enough to meet someone who has that kind of, that as soon as Dhruv Maharaj's Dhruv Charitra is done, please repeat it on a loop. We immediately want to go to the next topic. We've understood this next topic. Unless and until next year brings up another Dhruva Tithi. There's no Dhruva Tithi. It's like Janmashtami. Every year Janmashtami, we are excited Krishna is going to appear. And then till next year, we forget that Krishna has appeared. And then the next year, again, because there is a tithi, it excites us to know more about Krishna, to hear about Krishna. Practicing devotees. So, is the relish there? Yes. When? On the day of the tithi. Like Srinivas Kalyanam. Relish is there once a year. Isn't it? Because to do it more than once a year, it takes a lot of energy. Right? Couple of days back, Tulasi Shaligram Vivah. Now we'll wait for it to come again next year. Would you want to hear the katha again? Maybe not. Supposing I narrate that katha, the story of Tulasi Shaligram Vivah now, some of you may be wondering, oh, is that today? Oh, it's been done 2 days back. So then why are we narrating that today? Govardhan. No, here we are celebrating it, right? Now, if there was no Govardhan celebration and I would start speaking about Govardhan Puja, we'd wonder why. So, relish. Okay? So, we are limited. Krishna's opulences are limitless. Devotee wants to know about it, knowing very well that the devotee is limited in one's capacity, but just it is so relishable. It is such nectar that the devotee wants to hear more about Krishna's opulences. Therefore, these devotees, they really find enjoyment when they have such discussions about Krishna's vibhuti, and they take pleasure in that. Krishna, from his point of view, he knows that this devotee of his or these devotees of his who are living entities, they will not understand the complete extent of his opulences. But because he sees them he sees them that their only purpose is to relish, because since it is so relishable, that is the only purpose. He feels affectionate towards them. He says, yes, yes, hanta, hanta, hanta te katheshyami. I will describe to you my opulences. A relevant point to consider and to notice that when Krishna is going to, at this point of time, express about his vibhuti and his yoga, about his opulences and about his greatness, his power, his rulership, his control, 2 points stand out. The first is, when you go through the verses every week now, 2 points will stand out. The first is, in every opulence that Krishna describes in an object, it is he that makes that opulence great in that object. So that object appears to be special, like amongst the mountains and the Himalayas. So the Himalayas would be special. Yes, I am the chief amongst priests. So that chief is exceptional. But the chief is not exceptional. It is Krishna's opulence that makes that chief exceptional. It is Krishna's opulence that makes the Himalayas exceptional. So the first point that would stand out is that in every object that is being mentioned to be exceptional, vibhuti, it is Krishna actually who makes it exceptional. And the second point that would stand out is, just because that is Krishna doesn't mean that the other mountains do not have Krishna. The other mountains get have references, they get known by the general public is because of the Himalayas. So when you hear about the glorious Himalayas, its peaks, then you are like, are there any other peaks? Are there any other mountains? When you go to a very beautiful national park here and seeing its beauty, you'd like to know if there are any other parks that you could visit. So the first point that stands out, we said, is that it is Krishna that makes that particular object exceptional or special. The second point is that all of those objects among which one is exceptional, all of those objects together will have no existence if Krishna does not manifest his opulence in amongst the chief. Now, if Mount Everest or the Himalayas, okay, the Himalayas, we are speaking of the Himalayas. If the Himalayas were not there, according to what the Gita says, mountains would not be discussed as much in a generic way, because everyone is like, oh, you're interested in mountains? Do you think one day you'll climb the Himalayas? So if that idea was not there and it was very generic, oh, do you climb mountains? And the idea is like, okay, what is a mountain? It is a small mound of hill in my backyard. Oh my God, I really get tired when I climb up to that mound of hill. Right? So the importance of that group is only because Krishna has contributed in some way to make them relevant. So the relevance of whatever groups have been mentioned in the verses in the Bhagavad Gita is because of Krishna, and the opulence of whatever stands out amongst any one group is Krishna. Now we understand what Krishna is going to do. He's slowly going to explain to Arjuna how he is expanded in everything. That's how he's limitless. Yes, so this is called as Vibhuti Yoga. Krishna's opulences and his control, his connection. Yoga means connection, his connection to each and every single entity amongst the group that has been discussed. So if it is mountains, Krishna's connection to each and every mountain. Okay? All right. Now, would that be possible for a living entity to fathom? It would take a lot of effort. And just as a guardian feels affectionate while explaining subject matters to a dependent, Krishna's affection comes forth, realizing the monumental task that Arjuna has at hand. For Krishna, it's not monumental. For Arjuna, it's a monumental task. And hence, out of affection and some concern that will he get bored, so much data that I give him. Amongst this, I am this. Amongst that, I am that. Amongst those, I am the. After some time, will Arjun zone out? Because has limited capacity. So there's some concern too. And hence he says, Pradhanyatah. I'll explain that, which is most relevant as of now. Pradhanyatah, prominent ones as of now. For the living entity, the idea of existence is spread through individual consciousness and collective consciousness. Is it true? Who am I? So I am XYZ. And then there's a collective consciousness. I am a man. Collective consciousness would be I'm a son, I'm a student, I'm a community member. This is my membership card. I'm a member of Costco. How many of you have Costco membership here? Please raise up your hands. How does it feel when you go to Costco with your card? Don't you feel as if you have special access? So that is collective consciousness. You understand what is collective consciousness? You're a member of a community. So because we have expanded our existence through individual identity and a sum total of individual identity and collective understanding, it is but natural that our intelligence will be many sprayed. It is but natural. It is very difficult to have focused intelligence. Just the way we exist. So how would such a person focus on that which is prominent? Because as soon as you see something exceptional, you immediately think, oh, where is my phone? I need to take a picture of it. Rather than enjoy it, what do you want to do? You want to not only enjoy it right now, but you also want it to be available to you in the future too. Now that's a different matter, that you will never again visit that picture unless until by accident. Is it true? So before there were phones, it was the still camera. Before the digital, it was the analog. Before the analog, it was paintings, right? Before that, it was memories. I still remember the face of such and such person. And then Krishna tries to explain to us, okay, this is what I'm prominent. And we are like, oh, is the face similar to my memory, the one that I have? Is that how it is? So our intelligence is multi-branched. That is just a byproduct of our existence. So whenever you feel that you are very focused, be happy. It won't last long. Because the very next moment, your phone is going to ring or a message is going to pop up, and it's going to be a very important message. Prabhuji, Mataji, this, and you'll want to get involved in that. Multi-branched. Okay. So Krishna understands that this is how Arjuna is going to be. Therefore, he feels affectionate towards Arjuna and says, yes, I will do my best. I will try to keep you engaged. And I will do it in the best way possible. Why? Because I care for you, Arjuna. So his unlimited affection, realizing the insurmountable task that Arjuna has at hand, it's insurmountable. There are greater chances that Arjuna may not remember all of those occurrences. Greater chance. But it is affection, Krishna's affection, where he feels that I'm ready to do that hard work, put in that hard work. Doesn't matter what the outcome is. It's just that this is my Arjuna. I feel affection for Arjuna. So, even in Vibhuti Yoga, there is some marma, there is softness. Otherwise, Vibhuti Yoga is all about opulence. Krishna, his affection is very, very mesmerizing. And Krishna says, Divya hi atma vibhutayaha. Divya, he wants to or he hopes that hearing this word Divya, Arjun would remember that it is Krishna that he has to see therein, not just the manifestation of what is there, but it is Krishna. Typically, that is a manifestation of intense attachment. For example, if you go shopping or if you go visiting someone and you see an object, and a similar object was used by your mother or grandmother, what do? You immediately inform everyone, oh, when I was young, my grandmother used to use something like this. Correct? And some of you may have taken shelter of a spiritual master. As soon as a certain event unfolds somewhere, that event, because you have affection for your spiritual master, will tell someone, Guru Maharaj, once he was there, he did that. If the events are not there, the trigger will not be there. So because there is affection, you see the presence of the object of your affection there. Now, amongst the Himalayas, amongst the mountains, Krishna is the Himalaya, right? Is it correct? Is it wrong? You've heard this before. Amongst the river, Krishna is Ganga. We've heard this before. Do you think when you go to the Ganga, you're going to always remember that? When you go to Mayapur Dham, or when you went to Vrindavan Dham, you saw the Yamuna and Ganga are sisters. Did we remember? Oh, this is Krishna. For a moment, oh, this is Yamuna. She is so pure. I have to take her blessings. And as soon as you take her blessings, Yamuna is on her way. You're on your way towards Loiba. Is it true? Why? Because we have already come to Vrindavan with so many tasks in mind. And Yamuna just happens to be one of those boxes that we tick. So Divya, when you're in the presence of divine, you're not going to let yourself be distracted by anything else. Hence Krishna says Divya, divine. Divya hi Atma Vibhutaya. Every Vibhuti, every opulence that I'm going to explain to you, it should be like, oh, 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 oh. Like first you have Rasmalai, then Rasgulla, then cake. Oh my God, oh my, stop, I'm getting overwhelmed. But you don't want it to stop. Because as soon as I say, all right, we'll stop there. What else do you have? So the idea is Divya means one should be very attached to divinity. Addiction, like an addiction. That is why it is Divya. Now we understand why Krishna says Divya hi Atma Vibhutaya. All right? Are you still with me or is this too much information? Are you sure? Okay, there's so much more. Let me just cut it short now. 8:30 also. There's so much more about Vibhuti, Yoga, Pradhanata. I leave it for you to have discussion on it. What is interesting is there are two ways that we receive information in what I'm going to say. I'm just going to use two instruments that gather information. And I'm going to ask you to compare them to each other. Okay? One is the eyes, or one are the eyes. One is the eyes. It is one is the eyes, right? We gather information with our eyes, and the other is the ears. right? Which has more potential to gather much more information amongst the two? The ears gather much more information than the eyes. Is it true? Is it not true? True? Like you look at a chart and someone is explaining the chart. Will the eyes gather information about the chart as much as what explanation is being given about the chart? What you hear through your ears? Which has more capacity for receiving information? Eyes or ears?
Yes.
Typically the ears. Make sense? So Arjuna is asking Krishna in this chapter that please explain to me your opulences. Katheshyami. Correct? Please describe your opulences. And what does he say? In detail. Vistarena Atmanaha. Vistarena. Please, in detail. How does Krishna reply? Krishna says, Arjuna, my opulences are unlimited. Therefore, I will only explain briefly those which are prominent. Right? Arjuna is asking Krishna to give information by telling him about his unlimited opulences, and he wants to hear about all of them. Vistarena Atmana. So Arjuna's approach was correct. Ears are better suited to gathering more information than the eyes. In the next chapter, he is going to ask Krishna, show me what? That form. No, he doesn't say universal form. He says, show me that form. What does he ask Krishna? Show me that form. He doesn't say, show me those forms. So by now, in the 10th chapter, we see that slowly, by engaging Krishna, Arjuna's knowledge base is increasing. He's understanding a few things. The 10th chapter, he understood. Out of sheer excitement, I asked Krishna to show everything, and Krishna told me, I'll show you just a little bit. And that itself is immense. So the next time I ask Krishna to show me something, I'll ask just one. Right? Just show me that form. And how does Krishna reply? I will show you all forms. I will let you see all forms. How is that possible? How is that possible? Then in the 10th chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna, describe to me all of your opulences. Krishna says, I'll describe you only a few because they are limitless. And in the 11th chapter, when he asks Krishna, show me a form, Krishna says, I will show you all forms. Rupani, 11.5. If you read, Krishna says, Rupani. 11.5, can we pick up 11.5? Just see if I'm correct. Go to 11.5. Pashyame Partharupa. Look at all my forms, Arjuna. The eyes have lesser capacity than the ears, typically, to gather information. When Arjuna is asking Krishna to give him information through the ears, Krishna says, you only have the capacity to receive limited information. And when Arjuna, now realizing that he has limited information, asks Krishna to show him a form, Krishna says, I'll show you unlimited forms. And how does Krishna do that? By giving him Divya Chakshu. He says, I will give you Divya Chakshu by which you can see my. Now, even after that, Arjuna may not retain all of those impressions. What it means is, that then in our excitement we try to understand Krishna in unlimited ways, thinking that we can do it by ourselves, then we fall short. But when we depend on Krishna and we just make a request, that is seemingly that is the only adhikar that we have, that is the only ability that we have, that please just this is what I need from you. But if Krishna wants to give us unlimited, then he also gives us the ability to behold the unlimited. So vibhutis, Arjuna's approach is, let me understand all of that. Krishna says, very difficult for you to understand all of it. Arjuna says, let me just see that form, one form. Arjuna says one form. Krishna says, I will show you all forms. How does one grow from the stage of wanting to know everything as much as possible to the stage that even if there is this data which may appear to be limited, it is enough for me. It is sufficient for me because it is Krishna. So from my vision, it is limited. A form. Show me that form. Limited form. My intelligence, things like that. But Krishna's affection manifests in a different way. He says, I will give you the capacity to understand the greatness of all forms. So what brings us from this state of wanting? Because being dependent on Krishna does not mean not it does not mean that we stop ourselves from expression, but it is about how do we find proper expression. So unless and until there is sufficient knowledge available, if knowledge falls short, emotions are not sufficient. If knowledge falls short, emotions are not sufficient. Therefore, even when we take up to this transcendental process of chanting Hare Krishna, there should be a lot of eagerness to know about the various aspects of the chanting of the holy names. If we think that, oh, this, you only have to chant Hare Krishna, that word, oh, that is only what we have to do. That signifies that I can understand Krishna. But when we want to know more about the process of chanting and never be satisfied about it, then it shows that we relish. Maybe we don't relish chanting, but we relish the idea of understanding more and more the opulences of the holy names of Krishna and the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. All right? So let's stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
Prabhu, a couple of times you mentioned about understanding the Krishna. Is it really possible to understand Krishna?
If we are looking at it from our perspective and our capabilities, capacities, then yes, it is. However, not in the entirety of who or what Krishna is. So definitely, it will be, we can understand Krishna to the best of our ability. However, if we want to understand Krishna even beyond our ability, then that is possible by Krishna's mercy. Okay? Hare Krishna.
So you explained that Hantate, like Krishna is saying, you are very dear because you are very dear to me. That's why I'm going to explain. Since this is the one.
Can I just stop you there? I said that Krishna is feeling affectionate towards Arjuna because of his inquiry. Does that make sense? If he had qualified his dialogue by saying, "You are very dear to me," then that would be a different approach. Here, he's just responding to what he figures out is Arjun's dilemma. It's like a child that has asked for a task that is very huge. So when you get, "Arey," just a child, bacha, child. So that is his approach. Hanta, oh dear one, affection. Okay. Now, yeah, please go on with your question because I felt that these are two different things. One shows bias, the other shows affection. One is bias. Oh dear one, that means you are very dear to me. The other is just flow of affection. My child is asking me this question, and I have to explain to that child.
So maybe actually I get confused. So my question was, since Krishna is explaining to Arjuna because he's saying that you are very dear to me, and since you are very dear to me, so that's why I'm going to explain. It's one. But Krishna knows that it's going to for benefit of all humankind.
Mhm.
So why he like telling, okay, since you are very dear to me, that's why I'm going to explain to you with these things very like it's very confidential thing. I'm going to explain you. Since you are very dear to you only.
Hmm.
So he like get little confused that Krishna knows that it's going to for benefit of all humankind. It's not only for the Arjuna. Even though he's saying, okay, since you are very dear to me, that's why I'm going to like this confidential thing.
So the question is that since here the word Hanta expresses affection at oh dear Arjuna, rather than oh Arjuna, who are very dear to me. Two different things. It addresses oh Arjuna. Still, the doubt is that is this knowledge so confidential because it can only be explained to a very dear one? Then how do we understand that this would be available to the general human population for all times to come? So how does it? It seems contradictory that if it is confidential, it should be only for Arjun, and if it is meant for the general human population, then what is the idea of that Arjuna? Because you are dear to me, therefore I am going to tell you. So obviously that is not the situation here. But even coming to that situation, like if that were how we are looking at any other proposition anywhere else. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes Krishna says, because you are very dear to me, therefore I am giving you this knowledge. Bhakto si me sakha cheti. He says, you are my devotee, you are my friend, and therefore I am explaining this knowledge unto you. So there are a couple of ways, there are more than one or two explanations for that. I'll only stick to one explanation right now. Let's take this real life scenario. There are a group of students, there is a teacher. Amongst the group of students, there's a topic that they need clarification on. But somehow or the other, those group of students feel that the one amongst them who they feel is a teacher's favorite, it would be more acceptable, or they feel more comfortable if that one student goes to the teacher and asks for an explanation, because special student for the teacher may still go ahead and explain it. However, if everyone goes, there's a possibility that the teacher may address them by saying, why were you not paying attention when I was already explaining it? Is there a possibility? Is this a real life scenario? isn't it? So they'll push one student to do it. And there's a possibility that if the teacher has that kind of attachment for this one special student, the teacher may chastise the student like, I did not expect this from you, but it's all right. I want you to understand this subject properly. Sit down, I'll explain it to you. It's quite normal, isn't it? Then what does that student do? Comes back and explains to the other students as much as that student has understood. So from that point of view also, it's not unnatural if we look at the conversation as Krishna choosing Arjuna to be the recipient because of some special factor. So again, I'll point out that here right now, that is not the case. It is just his affection for. How can Arjuna just spoke it out without thinking? Is it possible for him to understand? And now he has asked me, I have to make it possible for him. So hence he says, oh dear Arjuna, beta, you did not realize what you have asked. क्या पूछ लिया तुम? लेकिन ठीक है, हम कोशिश करते हैं. I'll try and explain it to you. So that is how this is unfolding. Is it okay? All right. Anything else?
Krishna, nice class. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
You're
I have
welcome.
one question. How do we utilize it or apply it in the normal life? For example, Krishna is given, of all the mountains and Himalayas, of all the rivers and Ganges and Vasiki and etc. And so should we also consider that if somebody is more intelligent, if somebody is more wealthy, there is Krishna's hands there? Or how do we take it?
Sure, we can have our interpretations. The upbringing and education that Arjun had it could be that whatever Krishna was describing was very, very relevant to him in the form of those examples. Because Arjuna's exposure was there to all of these various factors, either through social media or through personal experience, whatever Arjun's social media at that point of time, it was available. In today's times, a lot of them, quite a few examples, quite a few expressions, mentions that are there in terms of opulences may seem a little, we may feel a little disconnect from them. Because in our life, we have not formed any bonds with those descriptions. We haven't. Few of them we have, but few of the others we may not. So, should we try and do that? So, conclusion of all of these opulences is what Krishna says: wherever and whenever, yat yat vibhuti mat sattvam. So that conclusion is there. So if you think it is something is very exceptional and stands out in a group of elements, items, and it helps you to remember Krishna, then it is perfectly all right. It should help you to remember Krishna. It should not just be academic activity. It should not just be that. Hey, you know that. So amongst billionaires or trillionaire now, because the shareholders have now passed that resolution that he'll get a paycheck, isn't it? So does Elon Musk represent the opulence of Krishna? Quite possible. If it helps you remember Krishna, possible. But if it is just an academic exercise, something better than nothing. Is that okay? So let's stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.